And we're back. Welcome back to On Tap Bets. I'm your host, Joey Ricotta, and we are going to be talking about tomorrow's games, the conference championship games for college football, and Sunday's games. Just going to go over a couple of them or a few of them, uh, going over for week 13 of the NFL slate, or I should say, just NFL slate this week, and it's week 13. Joe Maris is joining me today at Joe on Tap. And what's up, Joe? How you doing, man?
Good. It's nice to be on the mic on a Friday night. Nothing to do. Talking some football is not much better.
Absolutely, man. And we got some great news this week. So I'm just going to go ahead and start there because, I know you're probably dying to talk about it just a little bit. I mean, we're not going to go like deep into it, but we're both Cubs fans, and we got Marcus Stroman this week. So I know you're feeling good about that.
Oh yeah, it's just a great feeling because it gives you hope that it gives you a valid reason to hope that there's more to come afterwards. It's a little disappointed I wasn't able to get on Cubs on Tap with you guys yesterday, but glad you guys got to get on, get excited. Stroman even gave you guys a quote tweet. So, I mean, it's awesome. He's awesome. It's going to be a great time. And it sucks that the lockout happened, but we'll see what happens when the MLB comes out of it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, that's the thing. Like, he's just been such a breath of fresh air, and it was great to talk about that. If you are wanting to watch that or listen to that, definitely check out at Cubbies on Tap for more. And obviously, we would have loved to have you on there and talk about that. Obviously, you're a key contributor at Cubbies on Tap, so anytime you're on the mic is always great too. And yeah, man, it's just awesome to be a Cubs fan right now. And this is not a Cubs podcast, so we're not going to sit there and dive all into that right now. But you can just see where our heads are and how happy we are right now. So with that said, what do you say, man? Let's go ahead and dive in here and talk a little bit about these college games for tomorrow.
Yeah, let's do it. I got to redeem myself for tweeting with you earlier about the Oregon game. I would have liked the Oregon side over Utah, but that's why they played the game, and I was extremely wrong. So I got to do a little better.
It happens. I mean, as we talked about before hopping on here, I mean, I've been pretty wrong when it comes to college this year for the most part. Like, NFL has been a strength of mine this year and most years really, but college has just been wonky, man. Like, I cannot give you shit at all about that pick because while I was on the Utah side, it's just one of kind of the few that I've been right on this year for college. So can't give you shit at all. But yeah, before we get going here, let's shout out a quick sponsor. On Tap Sportsnet has a sponsorship with Bet Rivers. So since you're tuning into this gambling podcast or live stream, we know that you probably are into gambling. And if you do a first-time deposit with Bet Rivers, by going to betrivers.com, you can get up to $250 in a deposit match. So enter the promo code ONTAP, and yeah, that's what you'll get if you decide to. Again, that's betrivers.com, promo code ONTAP. So, Joe, let's go ahead and start with we'll start pretty much in order. We'll just kind of run through these games by the time that they're starting. The MAC championship game, Kent State -3.5 against NIU, and the over/under a massive 74.5. Shout out to our boy B-Don because he's going to be there in the press box. Yeah, at Ford Field in Detroit, covering these Huskies. And he's been grinding. He's been putting out the podcast. If you're interested more in the Huskies, definitely check out Huskies on Tap and check out the podcast. So on Twitter at Huskies on Tap if you're interested. And it's not one of the bigger games of the slate, like as far as like national attention, I guess, because it's a MAC game, but it still should be interesting. And betting perspective, it's still going to be fun, and I'm definitely going to be interested in it. I mean, this NIU team is pretty fun, man. Like, nobody was really like a lot of the big wigs were basically a lot of them were predicting them to finish last in the MAC, like dead last, just going to be garbage. And Coach Hammock, man, he's done well with this team. Like I don't know. I mean, call it some homerism here because I'm rooting for him. Like, supporting beat on and all that. And I like this. I've actually been to an NIU game. I've never been to a Kent State game. Kent State, as he always says, Kent is not a state. So
you think it's in Kentucky, but it's in Ohio, right?
What's that?
Isn't Kent State in Ohio?
Dude, I don't even know where it's at.
I think it's in Ohio.
Yeah, couldn't tell you because I've never been there. So, but if it's in Ohio, okay, that's. But all I know is.
Well, you think Kentucky.
You would because it's Kent,
right.
Like the short abbreviation to it. Yeah, no, but it makes sense that it's in Ohio, being in the MAC. But I don't know, man. They can definitely beat Kent State here, I think. NIU, these Huskies, and these teams combined for 99 points in early November when they faced each other. 52-47 was the score. So if that's, basically why, if you're wondering why the total is where it's at, that's basically why. I mean, Marquez Cooper led the MAC and ranks third in the nation behind only Air Force. So that's with that rushing attack, at least 247.2 rushing yards per game. So, but NIU on the other hand, they're really good in the red zone and they convert 93% in the red zone. They've won a ton of close games this year. So I don't know, man. I'm definitely going with NIU here. I guess I kind of spoiled it and already said it. But what do you think here, Joe?
This is the tough one. I mean, it's the MAC. This is one of those things that you're just like, it is probably the toughest conference to get a read on, maybe along with the Pac-12. You just never know what happens on a day-to-day basis in that conference. Kent State beat them, like you said, 52-47. I'm looking at the box score for that game. 7 points in the first quarter, and then there was 45 in the second quarter. Kent State scored 31 points in one quarter against NIU. And that's just insane. I mean, think about getting 4 possessions, in one quarter. Like, even that sometimes doesn't even happen. But they scored 4 touchdowns in one quarter, plus a field goal, which is just absolutely insane. But I don't know. Like you said, people picked NIU to finish towards the bottom of the MAC. This game kind of belongs on a weekday to be a standalone game, just to have a little fun. Like, if it was tonight, it's a party game, especially with a box score in the previous matchup of 52-47. It's a party game. You watch it. There goes a 60-yard touchdown. There goes a 60-yard touchdown. That's what you want, and it doesn't really have that same feel at 11 a.m., but that's when they play. So I don't know. I think NIU's kind of, they peaked already. They're coming off a 3-touchdown loss. I think they're just a little toast here. I think Kent State is a little more consistent. Not that that's saying much, but I think they're just a touch more consistent, and I would take Kent State here.
All right. Our first disagreement right off the freaking bat.
Yeah.
To follow up, like I said, I think the coaching really makes a difference here with Hammond. I think he's a really good coach. I think they got that mojo going. Rocky Lombardi threw for a school record 532 passing yards last time against this Kent State team. Trayvon Rudolph, he set a program record with 309 receiving yards. So if you're going to give me the points, that's basically why I'm taking the Huskies here, because I just feel like they are just so closely matched that I could see the Huskies winning. And, yeah, you're going to give me the points and the hook. I'm going to take that. So with your assessment of this game, you're probably not too far off. I think you're right. Like, Kent State's been pretty much through and through, like the way they play and their style and just how they match up against opponents. I think mostly they've been pretty consistent, or a little bit more consistent. So, yeah, man, this is going to be a fun one. I mean, like I said, not the most marquee matchup on the board as far as national attention, but it's definitely going to be a fun one to watch. And like you said, to your point, Friday night matchup would have been probably a little bit more fun, but
yep.
Hey, we got the early one on Saturday, so
you get what you get.
you get what you get. Beggars can't be choosers, and we're not going to beg, but I'm going to beg to get this one right because this is kind of a tough one for me anyways. I don't know about you. The Big 12 championship, Baylor facing Oklahoma State, which Oklahoma State laying 6 over under 46.5. So how do you view this game?
I think Oklahoma State's kind of got it cooking right now. And when you think of the Big 12, you think an offense. And, Oklahoma State can put it up 31 points a game, but it's been their defense for most of the year. And, I mean, how can you not like Mike Gundy? Like, how could you not? And I want Oklahoma State to win personally because I think with that's going to get them into the playoff, and I want them in the playoff. I think that would be a cool matchup to see them in there. If we're going to see Cincinnati, we might as well see Oklahoma State too. Switch it up a little bit. So I'm going to go Oklahoma State. What are they catching? 6 points. Ooh. I'm going to stick with it. Why not?
Hey, I mean, Oklahoma State, I've liked what they've been doing defensively for most of the season. I mean, their defense to me has been the most impressive part of this team. I think that's probably what they're more built on. I mean, you look at Spencer Sanders. Look at this last matchup too. Like these teams, they're an interesting matchup. Cowboys beat them 24-14 in early October. Sanders, he had 1 touchdown but 3 picks. So he's an okay quarterback. He's not elite, and I'm not sure Jerry Bohannon. I don't know if he's going to play. I thought there was questions about that with Baylor, the Baylor quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Could Baylor, with the win, sneak themselves into this college football playoff? I know Oklahoma State would probably, but I don't know. What do you think? That's kind of crazy to me, but it's there's motivation.
Yeah, I mean, to say they're completely out of it would be wrong. A lot of things would have to happen. You'd have to see Bama would have to lose. If Bama loses, you assume they're out. But at the same time, are you putting a 2-loss Bama or a 2-loss Baylor in? You're probably likely going to put a 2-loss Bama in over 2-loss Baylor. They would definitely need Michigan to lose. And so what it comes down to, I think, for them would be Michigan and Cincinnati both losing, and they have to win. I think that's their absolute only shot. It's not the craziest thing, but they also have to win, as 6-point underdogs, which is not impossible. But, they're on the outside looking in. They need help. They need a lot of help. And unfortunately for Baylor, I don't think they're going to be able to pull this one off.
Yeah, and that's the tough part too, right? Because then you got some other teams that, a team that's not playing another game. You got Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
They only have 1 loss. To me, they squeak in there before Baylor does.
I agree, and but I think Notre Dame would have to. The only way Notre Dame can make it in is if Georgia or Alabama would have to lose, Michigan would have to lose, and Cincinnati would have to stay in. Because if Cincinnati doesn't make it as a 1-loss team, you can't put Notre Dame in there with their 1 loss being to another team that didn't make the playoff. So there's a lot of outcomes, which is great, but you could kind of see the clear path of where things are headed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I mean, I'm rooting for chaos, dude. Complete and utter just madness. I want to see every team that's in a position to be in the college football playoff lose outside of Bama. Or no, outside of Georgia. I want Georgia to beat Bama, knock them the hell out of there, because I'm sick of seeing Bama just being every single year. I'm not a Bama hater. I really just am sick of it right now. And I know they have a super talented roster, but they're not the same Bama team. We'll get to that game later. Late to the party, but Iowa money line, Hawks by 1 million. So
We haven't gotten there yet. Don't worry.
says our friend Scott from Iowa. Just like to show that you know what, Scott, I got the Hawkeye. We're gonna roll there. I mean, I don't know what turned out with the basketball game tonight.
On the Hawkeye front, that big blocked punt against Nebraska, Henry Marquez. I'm friends. He's one of my friends. It's a cool moment.
Awesome.
Yeah, did you see him and his twin brother plays at Illinois? They had a nice moment on senior night at Iowa. I've known them. I'm good friends with the older brother, who's the same age as I am. So I've known their family for a long time. So that was a great moment for them. And then he had that nice block punt that led to the touchdown, and that really turned things around for them.
Oh yeah, man, that's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, that was an awesome moment. I mean,
their dad also played at Iowa way back in the day.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah, walk on running back.
When did he play? Like that would probably
in the 80s, I think that would be.
Okay.
And they're a Big Ten family. The one my age, he walked on at U of I. His oldest brother played at Maryland, and then the two youngest, one Iowa, one Illinois. Just a Big Ten family through and through. Nice.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's definitely cool. We kind of skipped over. We were talking Baylor and Oklahoma State.
Right.
Get us back on track here a little bit, but this is a big time matchup. I wanted to know your thoughts, but I think, and I still want to know your thoughts. The Oklahoma State running back Jalen Warren, he was named Offensive Newcomer of the Year, and then they got the defensive end Colin Oliver, who he was named Defensive Freshman of the Year, and he's at 12.5 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks. Very good first year. He's someone to watch out for really in future years too, because he is a freshman. I like Oklahoma State. I think they probably win this game, but I think they play other teams close, especially good teams, based on their style of play. And so I think they win. I think Baylor covers.
Okay.
So I kind of set it up that way, but it's reached a full touchdown, basically minus the extra point. And Baylor +6, man. I think they will have enough to at least cover this game, because Oklahoma State, they don't really have the offense to really blow you out. And so I think, they played, it was a 10-point game last time. They could easily win this game by 10, by 14. But I think Baylor's going to cover this year.
Yeah, I just in my own thoughts here, I'm thinking of, it's not really Baylor's time. If this isn't Oklahoma State's year, when is? This is their chance. It almost is a certain win and they're in. It's not for sure.
Right.
But I mean, it's almost as long as one of those top 4 teams lose, and obviously one of them has to, because Georgia and Alabama are playing each other.
Mm-hmm.
They got a good shot if they win to get in, and I would just love to see that happen.
I would too. I've been, this Cowboys team, I've been watching this team all year, and people have been underestimating them. They were underestimating them early in the season. They thought they could just get run over by teams. They thought the offense was just so trash. Just hasn't really turned out to be the case. This offense is better than what people thought, and not great, but the defense is good. And this they're a tough team. And like you said, how can you not like the coach? So, So this will be a fun one, though. I definitely have my eyes on this game. I want to see Oklahoma State win, but I wouldn't mind if they lost either. And for the sake of Iowa, if there's a miracle way that they get in.
Unfortunately for you, I think that's out of the question.
Probably, but I still am holding out the little glimmer of hope that if they beat Michigan, because the committee is probably thinking about, just like they are with the Big 12, they want a Big 12 team in there. They're thinking they want a Big 10 team in there.
Yeah,
and it would be ridiculous being a 2-loss Iowa team in there, but they're winning their conference championship. So like, I don't know. I don't want to rule it out. You know what I mean?
Of course not.
And of course, I'm just saying this because I'm an Iowa fan. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, we move on here. Mountain West Championship. We got Utah State and San Diego State. San Diego State is laying 6 points. Over/under is 49.5. The Aztecs, the nation's 9th-ranked scoring defense, take on the Aggies and their explosive offense, ranks 3rd in the conference in scoring. So, Joe, I'll kick it off to you. What do you see? What do you like?
Yeah, I'd be lying if I told you I knew much about these two teams. And if I don't know much about two teams in a game and I was going to bet it, I would usually take the favorite, and I would usually lose. So because of that, and looking at the basic numbers, yards per game and yards allowed, that looks like it's giving the edge to Utah and Utah State, and you're getting 6 points. This is a game. What does it really mean besides to these two teams? Really nothing. So, just with that, looking at the basic numbers here, I'm going to go with Utah State. Give me the 6 points.
So you're basically going against what you normally would do.
Exactly.
Okay. I feel you on that, because that's kind of, it's always like natural or like to take the favorite because they're supposed to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel you. If you're going to give the underdog points, you're like, well, just give me, like, I feel like that's an advantage. If you're just cutting it down, they're starting the game, right? 0-0. I got points. I'm winning this bet. So, like, if I don't know, I might as well just take that too. So,
yeah. And shout out Jordan Love.
Yeah. But Utah State, Logan Bonner, he's 16th in the country in passing yards. So, they can air it out. Devin Tompkins, he's leading the nation in receiving yards with over 1,500 receiving yards. Trying to get open, though, against this defensive backfield of San Diego State. I mean, they have one of the best defenses, but, like, the defensive backfield, it's going to be a challenge because they also have – I mean, they're led by Taylor Hawkins, who's got the 5th best coverage rating, and SDSU has 15 picks on the year. So it's going to be tough. Can Utah State contain San Diego State Junior defensive lineman Cameron Thomas? I don't know. He's one of the best pass rushers in the country. I think with a size advantage mixed with their good rushing attack, which they mix around, they use different backs in the backfield, Utah State can be susceptible against the run. So I think SDSU covers here and wins by a touchdown. I'm not betting the over in this game. Like, I'm taking the under 2 as well, even though, like, it's not like a super high total, but these teams are 58% to the under. So both of them are 58% to the under. So I'm looking there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been against each other on every single pick. So one of us is going to have a great day. One of the others is going to have a really crappy Saturday. So we'll see.
Yeah, this is absolutely awful, to be honest. I feel bad because, dude, knowing my record so far this year with college, if you were just fading me, like just completely just fading my college football season, you probably made some money. Like I should have been putting out the prop bets. I've been doing most of the prop bets with college because I usually don't look at them until like the morning of, which is probably not the best way to go about it, but that's what I've been doing. And I've been like cashing those at like a 70% clip at least. But that was kind of new for me this year was the props, at least for the college games, because I always do the NFL. But yeah, man, I don't know. You're probably going to be winning this week if you're going against me. So I wouldn't feel too.
I can say the same thing about whoever goes against me, though. So
we got a 50-50 shot. Whoever's listening.
Something's got to give here. We'll somehow both finish 50 500 here.
Collectively as a show, we will be 500. So the Great Championship, that's what we got next on deck, Joe. Appalachian State or Appalachian, I don't know. I don't know. I say it either way. Appalachian State -3 at Louisiana Lafayette. Over under 52.5. Number 20 Louisiana has lost one game this season. The Raging Cajuns hosting Appalachian State. It's at Cajun Field. So the Mountaineers, they fell short in the first meeting against the Sun Belt's top team. And yeah, I don't know. What do you think here?
I'm gonna take the home team. I mean, they're catching 2.5 points at home. Better record. They beat them earlier in the season. You kind of scratch your head and you're like, why are they underdogs?
That's what scares me. Yeah, I know. That's what scares me.
So I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Louisiana Lafayette was a top 25 team to start the season, right? And I think they had an early loss to like Iowa State, was it?
Yeah, I'm forgetting who they lost to, but
they lost to Texas in the first game of the year.
Texas, yep, that's right.
And they have won every single game since then. I'm gonna go with Louisiana Lafayette. I mean, it's a championship game in their home stadium, and they're getting 2.5 points. I mean, at the end of the day, you can be happy with that justification, at least for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. Like, I'm looking at this. Billy Napier, he accepted the Florida job, right? So, but he's going to coach this game.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike that fraud, that douche canoe, Brian Kelly, who's just up and leaving Notre Dame. Now, I don't know if you know this, Joe, but I also love Notre Dame.
He's a Southern man.
Now all of a sudden,
me and my family.
Did you see Joey? I think it's
Molinaro.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah. He does great. Yeah, that was a great video. Yeah, that's me and my family.
Oh my!
Come down to Louisiana State.
Sundays, my house is always open. Anyways, I don't know. Brian Kelly's like a super Southerner now. All of a sudden, whatever. Yep. I just don't get it. Like how like you said, I don't get how they are like the dogs here. Win one for the Gipper has never been more like than right now as far as Louisiana, because the guy, yes, he's losing or he's leaving, excuse me, but like he's sticking around for this game. He's not just going to up and leave them. That's all he needs to tell his team right there.
Right. Where I don't have it up. Where's the money at? Can you see what side the money's at?
I don't have it on. I don't have it up either, but I thought it was on Louisiana.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have it. I think it is on Louisiana, though. The money is on Louisiana, I believe. And if I'm wrong about that, somebody correct me in the chat or whatever. But I do believe the money is on Louisiana. They blew this team out 41-13. Maybe that's lazy handicapping too, but you're going to give me those 3 points in a home championship game? Like, it's not even a neutral field? Yeah, Raging Cajuns, baby, +3.
Football's different in Louisiana.
It is.
They're going to go celebrate at Brian Kelly's apartment or hotel room.
I was just going to say that. It's different in Louisiana. Just ask Brian Kelly. So let's get to the big hammer. Let's get to the big – should we say this till the end?
Which one? The Clemson, not Clemson.
Clemson.
Georgia, wow. Georgia. Yeah, I know. It's just automatically programmed. Georgia, Bama.
It's always programmed to Clemson too. I know.
Let's push that off to the end. I think we got Scott in the comments talking Iowa. I think let's talk Iowa, Michigan. It's up here. Let's talk about it. So I'll toss that comment up. And he's an Iowa fan. He's Scott from Iowa.
Yes, sir.
Hate to break your heart, but I don't see a chance that Notre Dame and Iowa can both be in the playoff, and Baylor. So Georgia is auto in. I think that's obvious. I think Georgia is the only team that's automatically in.
Georgia, even if they lose, they're in. Yeah,
right. I don't see a 2-loss Iowa, and and a 2-loss Baylor just making it. And like we mentioned before, if Notre Dame gets in, Cincinnati has to be in there. It just doesn't make sense to put a team with one loss in over the team that beat them.
I'll stop. I know it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. But like, here's the thing: the committee does not want Cincinnati to be in. They've proven that by their rankings basically all season. And then they went back and forth. They've dropped them down. They've had to have been forced to move them back up. Like, they do not want – all they want is for Cincinnati to basically be the number 4 and to face Georgia and get their just absolutely demolished in the first round. Like, the committee would love nothing more than that to happen. So I'm with you, Joe. Like, I don't see this scenario playing out where Iowa and Baylor both get in. Like, it's just not – that's not happening. And Cincinnati making it over Notre Dame, it's a tough sell. I mean, Notre Dame making it over Cincinnati, that's a tough sell. But I will say I could also see it happening just because of the committee. And, like, what's recency bias, right? Like, Cincinnati, if they get their wheels – like, if they get absolutely smoked, let's say they get ran off the rails by Houston, like, then what? Like, that was the only loss that Notre Dame had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a tough one, but I don't see just another thing with Bama in this scenario is 2 losses. Depending, I mean, a lot of this also depends on how the actual games are. If Bama loses close and the rest of this scenario actually happens, they're making it in over one of a 2-loss Baylor and a 2-loss Iowa. I think it's tough because they're both conference championships, but if they're only losing, down to the wire, last play kind of thing,
I don't want to see it at all.
I agree. I don't want to see Bama in either, but they're probably better than both Iowa and Baylor.
Yeah, sadly, that's the thing. If you're gonna force me to pick what 2-loss team gets in out of those 3, or like if that's the, yeah, I think Bama's in.
Right.
Like, they have to be. Like,
right. I mean, if they get the doors blown off of them, it's out of the question. But anything somewhat close. I mean, Georgia hasn't played a close game, so there's really, nobody has hung with them. So if Bama can keep it close, keep it probably within. I mean, they got to keep it within a 1-score game with possession towards the end of the game. I think that's the only way they can lose and make it in.
Yeah.
With a couple other teams losing.
If it's anything other, like if it's garbage time points, let's say it's garbage time points and they come back and make it like a 10-point game or 7-point game at the end, I don't think they should be in, though.
No, and I think people know that. I mean, people know how to gauge a garbage, where the score doesn't really dictate how the game is played.
But some people will look at it and say they only lost by 7, though.
Yeah, but those people are stupid.
I don't disagree. Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about this Big Ten championship game, since we are basically bypassing. Mm-hmm. Well, no, we're bypassing Georgia and Bama, right?
Mm-hmm.
For now. So let's actually move to the AAC championship game. Let's go to Houston and Cincy. Now this is going to be at Cincy, not on a neutral site. So Houston, they've got all the momentum right now. Like, and Cincy's undefeated, but Houston lost their first game of the year. They've been rolling. These two teams, top 10 in scoring offense and opponent yards per game allowed. So offensively and defensively, both of these teams, pretty stout, man. Pretty stout. Well-coached teams. Luke Fickell, Cincy, Dana Holgorsen of Houston. I mean, Desmond Ridder, he's basically got Holgorsen's number. He's 2-0 against him. Against Holgerson's Cougs. And Saturday, he would be 44-5 if he picks up this win, or since he wins this game. As a starter, that'd be Desmond Ridder. So pretty impressive stuff there. I mean, obviously, since he's just been good, like, last season, look at this year, whatever, they've just been a really good team. So, I don't know. They're so close to the college football playoff, man. They can taste it.
Right.
They can sniff it. It's just underneath it's right at their fingertips. Where are you going, Joe?
I'm not saying Cincinnati's going to lose, but 10.5 points. Cincinnati has not really shown. I mean, I know the last 2 weeks they've blown teams out, but they really, other than those 2 games, they haven't shown the ability to really put teams away and separate. And you're going to give Houston 10.5 points. I know it's at Cincinnati. Luke Fickell's, his name's popping up everywhere. I think everybody wants Cincinnati in. Not everybody, but people want Cincinnati to win. I think Houston will keep this within 10. I mean, this is a great matchup. Houston's a great team too. I mean, yeah, it's the AAC, but these are 2 good teams. And if Houston can pull this game off, I don't really think there's a shot for them to make it, but they would have a legit case. I mean, so I think it's going to be a game that goes down to the wire. Whether Cincinnati pulls it out, I don't know, but I'm going to take that 10.5 points.
I'm with you. I can't disagree with anything you said. If I was if it didn't affect my favorite teams, let's put it that way, I would be rooting for Cincinnati. I am not rooting for Cincinnati because it does affect my favorite teams, at least one of them for sure. So I want them to lose this game, but I usually root for the underdogs. I'm taking the points with Houston, not just because I'm rooting against them, but I just think, man, Houston's on fire. Like, they've run the table since losing to Texas Tech in their first game. I think, just like Louisiana, give me the hot team to cover. Like, 10.5 points is a lot of points, like you mentioned. Mm-hmm. And Cincinnati has been – actually, they've kept some teams in the game with them. Like, they have not just, like, completely demolished every team that they've faced. And they don't have the greatest schedule, which is why the College Football Committee is, like, so hesitant to just put them in there, like, even with their record. I mean, they've been against them this whole season, the College Football Committee. So, Houston's, like Scott Crawford just mentioned here, Houston's only loss, I think he said loss, is a week 1 loss to Texas Tech. Right. Give me Houston straight up. There's merit to that. So, yeah, we're both on the same page there.
And at plus 330, it's hard to ignore that value.
That's some great value. If you hit that money line, man, you're sitting pretty probably for the weekend. Mm-hmm. They're at least in pretty good shape. Yeah, man, let's go ahead. I kind of teased this a little bit, but let's go ahead and move on here and go to the Big Ten Championship. This is a big one. This is a big one to me. This is a big one to Scott Crawford in the comments. Iowa Zach, our boy, he's probably, obviously I know it's big to him. Michigan laying 11, over under 43.5. I'll let you kick it off because I don't want any sort of like bias, whatever, to kick in. I just want to hear your thoughts, and then I'll just go ahead and give mine.
I think it's Michigan. I don't want to say in a rout, but in a convincing 2-touchdown plus win. I think the best thing for Michigan this year was that they played Ohio State in the last week of the regular season, before the conference championship, because otherwise this would be the most classic of letdown spots. Mm-hmm. But with Michigan, with what they have in their hands right now, Jim Harbaugh is not going to let that slip away, and I don't even think he's going to allow that. Like, I don't think there's going to be a moment in this game where you're thinking Iowa can win this game. And I know you want to cover your ears, but I think it's going to be Michigan in a easy breezy 2-touchdown plus win. They're determined. And I don't know what Iowa really has going for them. They've had to claw back against Nebraska and Illinois in their past 2 games. I mean, that's not saying much.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it. Yeah, I get it. This is like, I'll pull up Scott's comment real fast. Yeah, it's gonna be, it's gonna be big crowds. I just honestly, like, this is the thing. David Hutchison's a freak. David Ojabo's a freak. Like, this defensive man, Michigan's defense is insane. They combined for 4 sacks, those 2 alone, against Ohio State. Like you said about Harbaugh, I mean, they finally got over the hump. He finally took down the Buckeyes. If they were just to lose, they'd be just so Michigan to let down after that, to have a letdown spot here. Like, it'd just be Michigan, like, to a T. And do they finally get over the hump here now and then get into the college football playoff? My gut tells me yes. Like, I think that's going to happen. For my sake, I hope not. I hope Iowa wins this game, obviously, but I'm not so confident, whether it's Alex Padilla or Spencer Petras. Like, this offense is just the defensive line, the offensive line on Iowa has not been good enough this year to make me feel good about anything that Michigan's going to be bringing to the table with that line and with that. Just those linebackers are good. Like, I don't know. I have to bet this game. If I have to bet this game, I'm betting on Michigan. I think they win this game by 2 touchdowns, but Iowa's known to, maybe they force a fumble on Hassan Haskins or they get some interceptions. Maybe Riley Moss gets some picks, a pick 6 or something. I lean Michigan. I'm not betting the game. I'm not betting it at all because of my heart.
And I think you touched on it. Iowa's shot relies on a turnover. Like we mentioned earlier with that block punt against Nebraska that they brought in for a touchdown. But Michigan is a team that really holds on to the ball. So Michigan, you combine the fact that Iowa is going to be reliant on turnovers to put them in good field position, and Michigan is just not going to make those mistakes. They haven't all season. It's just Iowa's not going to be able to move down the field on this Michigan team. So, yeah, and I think it might be tough for Iowa to break 2 touchdowns just with the way, like I said, I mean, this team is determined. Jim Harbaugh, I mean, he's a tough coach. His team is tough. It's just not a spot that I think Michigan will let that letdown spot get to him.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't think that he's too good of a coach. I'm not a huge Harbaugh guy. Like, there's a lot of people that I'm close with that are huge Harbaugh guys, and I'm not necessarily one of them. But I see the appeal. I'm not sure if I want him to be the Bears head coach. I know a lot of people are on that wagon right now, hitching themselves to that, and they're all aboard that. I'm not quite there yet. I don't know about that, but I mean, he has been successful in the NFL, but we're not talking about that right now. I just think this game in particular, it spells trouble for Iowa, and I don't know if they're going to be able to completely run the ball like they want to with Tyler Goodson and all that. So, yeah, man, lean Michigan. Hate it. Hope for Iowa. Hope for an Iowa victory myself. Let's move on, though. Like, let's go ahead. Oh, Scott just mentioned something else, too. Joey, what's Iowa's record against top 5 teams the past few years? I don't know that off the top of my head, to be honest. Scott, I hope you can look that up while we're on here and let me know. But I'm imagining I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I know they compete, though. They compete. ACC Championship, Wake Forest, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is laying 3.5. Over-under is 71.5. What do you think, Joe, about this matchup?
I'm going to stick with Pittsburgh just because I think Kenny Pickett's really put himself together as a really nice quarterback. He's dependable, and I'm going to stick with the dependable guy. It's only 3.5. I'm just gonna stick with the guy I trust the most. Wake Forest is, they lost to Clemson. They're not a big game team. They lost to UNC. That was a close game. That's a tough game. But UNC, good offense, not that great of a team.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna stick with Pitt. I think they're just more reliable.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this might be the most exciting game of the day as far as offense goes. Like, I think these two teams are going to put up a ton of points. I love the over in this game. I think I like Pittsburgh too. I lean that side because I'm going to take the team that I think has the better defense, which is Pittsburgh, because both of these teams are going to put up points. You got Kenny Pickett, who's getting a bunch of national attention. He's, obviously looked at by a bunch of scouts. He's been being really hyped up.
First round,
yeah. He's been great. And Sam Hartman, though, man, that dude's been balling too for Wake Forest. Like,
yep.
This dude, the two really very heavy air raid, heavy pass offenses, duking it out. I'm going to say, Pittsburgh, they allow 279 passing yards per game. So Sam Hartman should be able to throw the ball in this game too. So, we could hit 73 points and easily go over like by halftime. Like this, I just have a feeling that, Wake Forest, I think Wake Forest is just going to get annihilated by Kenny Pickett though. So give me Pittsburgh laying the points, and I like the over.
I would definitely ride with you on the over there.
Let's do it. We got to have a nice. I got to get one over now. That's kind of like my rule every week. At least one over, because I've been known to, especially on this podcast, I think, or on this show, I'm like the guy that's like, yeah, give me the under. Like, I don't know what it is. I feel like I'm better at predicting the unders though, and like the overs, everybody wants to go after. So I'm hesitant all the time. So, but yeah, I got to have one now. Every week, I got to have one.
I agree with you. I think this is a good spot for it. It's a big total, but I think this is going to be a track meet.
Yeah, hands down. And if it's not, then I don't think anyone was expecting that. But whatever, Vegas, Pac-12 championship game, USC, California. Joe, I have absolutely nothing here. I don't want to bet on the Pac-12 championship.
The Pac-12 championship was tonight. This is just like a makeup game from earlier in the year.
Oh, excuse me. That's right. Why did I? Oh, it's because I saw these two teams.
We're just conditioned for it.
Yes.
Because Oregon got the doors blown off them already.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. And I was right about that. But hey, you were right about this. This is not the Pac-12 championship. This is a makeup game. I guess we're not even going over this anyway. Then, are we?
No, don't care.
Don't care. Do not
Won't
care
be
about
on the TV.
I literally was just going to hand it to you and be like, "What do you like about this game?"
Yeah.
I don't like anything. Okay, so let's go ahead and circle back around then, because I don't know if there's any games I'm missing, but
no, that's it. We've hit them all besides the biggest one of the night or the day.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's go ahead and get into it. Yeah. SEC championship, man. Georgia, Bama. What do you think?
Oof. Like we said, like everybody has said, we're kind of sick of Alabama. And I'm pretty sure I heard that like 70% of money is coming on Georgia at 6.5. It's tough. Bama just barely scraped by Auburn without Bo Nix last week. There's definitely credence to actually coming out with that game, but I'm going to go with Georgia. I think this is their time. Bama's obviously had their time, and this is Georgia's. Georgia's defense is just absolutely suffocating. There was that brief moment when Georgia was playing Tennessee, and you're like, maybe like. There's really no thought that Tennessee was going to win that game, but you're like, maybe they got something here. Maybe they're going to be able to, move the ball against Georgia's defense, and then that was quickly shut down. So I think, Alabama's had a little bit of struggles on offense, with especially last week. But with that, I think you just have to bet Georgia. You just have to take them. 6.5 is big for a big matchup like this, but I think they're the better team. I don't know if anybody really questions that. They're the better team, and I think this is their national championship. In all honesty, so
Yeah.
I got to go with Georgia.
I 100% agree with you. This is their national championship. You knock out Bama, you win the national championship, because I don't see any team competing with this team. This might be one of the best defenses we've ever seen in college football. Just to kind of go, I want to just shout something out real quick. So I don't know how you feel about him, or I don't care who's listening or who anybody feels about this person, but Todd McShay, the draft analyst.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't care how people feel about him as an analyst, whatever. I just thought this was interesting. So he threw out a tweet. He basically says this game has 31 players that he's given a draftable grade to. Georgia's defense alone has 11, and 10 of them are going to be playing in this game.
Mm-hmm.
In 22 years, this is the quote, in 22 years of covering the draft, I've never had 11 players on a single unit with draftable grades, which makes sense. I mean, that just goes to show you how
the entire defense.
Fucking incredible, man. This defense is insane. I don't know how Bama's had some they've been a little bit leaky offensively as far as the line goes. They've let teams hang around. Like, they've barely pulled out victories. Last week. Can look at last week. That game went to what? 4 overtimes, I think?
I think
thought it was 4.
Was it 4?
Barely beat Auburn by 2. Like, that. You should not be barely beating Auburn by 2 if you're Bama. What's that?
Without Bo Nix. Bo Nix was hurt.
Right. That's exactly. With Bo Nix, I could see it. But this offense is struggling a little bit. And I know that Bryce Young's playing well. Like, is he the Heisman Trophy winner? No, probably not. I think the Heisman Trophy winner should actually be on the defensive side of the ball for Bama.
Right.
Like, it should be Will Anderson. I mean, this dude, he's got 13 sacks, 25.5 tackles for a loss. Bryce Young's just a quarterback, and it's a quarterback award. I mean, that's pretty much what it comes down to there. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game throughout. I do think Georgia wins by 10 or more. Low scoring to start out, I think, like a feeling out period. It just has like that classic SEC under. It's just like a classic SEC under, in my opinion. Like, this is Stetson Bennett, dude. He's going to have trouble in this game too against Bama's defense. So I just really don't see much happening all around. Like, this is going to be at 49.5. I know the totals come down a little bit since where it started out. I still like the under, and I would lean Georgia. I think they win by 10 or more here too.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think that's what everybody wants to see. So hope, cross your fingers, hope it comes true. But this is a game everybody will enjoy.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. I mean, get nice and liquored up during the day. If you like to see scoring and you're not seeing it in this game, because at least I hope not, since I'm betting the under. I had to get my over out of the way early. But get nice and liquored up, and then it'll be nicer to watch less points.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, Joe, what do you say we move on to the NFL? Because we're running a little bit overboard here, but there was a lot of college.
NFL. Yeah, it's championship weekend.
It's championship weekend, so you kind of have to. I'll save the lock till the end, then, to the end of the entire show. We're only going to go over 4 games this week for the NFL because there was so much college. Cardinals laying 7.5 at our Bears. Over under 42.5 at Soldier Field. Our boy Ron Luce will be there at Luce on Tap. We were talking about Stroman earlier. I mean, Stroman's hopefully going to give Ron some Cubs tickets here. It sounds like.
Yeah.
So I mean, he can't be more. He's having a hell of a week, man. He's having a hell of a week. We got Stroman. He's getting potentially tickets from Stroman. He's going to a Bears game this Sunday without Justin Fields, it sounds like.
Yeah.
But the man's having a hell of a week.
Yes, he is.
We went into a little bit more detail. Me and Ron did the Bears on Tap preview episode for this game. You can check that out at Bears on Tap on Twitter or just wherever you get your podcasts. So I don't know. If you're looking to join our boy Ron at this game, I would say there's probably still seats available. I don't know, but if there are, they would be at Vivid Seats. If you go to vividseats.com, you can get $10 off your order if any purchase over $100. So you could probably buy that beer that you want to drink and potentially drink it with Ron. Hit him up. Look him up on Twitter at Loose on Tap. See if you can drink a beer with him. Get $10 off if you enter the promo code ONTAP. Again, that's vividseats.com, promo code ONTAP. So, Joe, since I went into a little bit more detail for this game of Bears on Tap, what do you think about this game?
I think there's a lot to be what's the word I'm looking for? There's a little bit of unknowns with the Cardinals right now because they've played their last 4 games with Colt McCoy, I think it is. It's been at least 3 games with Colt McCoy in a row, and they've still looked pretty good. But all signs are, for the most part, pointing towards Kyler Murray making his return, as well as DeAndre Hopkins. So there's a little bit of uncertainty there, and I think as far as handicapping this game, that doesn't help.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see either team scoring a ton of points. And if I had to pick a side, I'd probably take the Bears and the points. With Andy Dalton, they're just a little bit steadier. And Justin Fields definitely provides, more of a wow factor and more dangerous. But, Andy Dalton can still give you just a little bit of a, higher floor. So I think, they're going to at least be able to move the ball a touch to eat up some clock. So if I had to do anything here, I would take the under. And if I had to pick a side, I would take the Bears just because it's hard, especially even for Vegas, it's hard to handicap how the Cardinals are going to come out with Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins hasn't played in forever, and neither is Kyler Murray. So, we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think I saw a tweet from Schefter that said that Cliff Kingsbury did say that Murray and Hopkins were true game time decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing they'll play in this. I think they're ready to come back. I know they're game time decisions, but it sounds like they probably are going to come back. I don't know.
I agree.
So that's just kind of guessing, I guess, at this point. But I think Arizona's pass defense is very good. They've got Chandler Jones, too, that's able to get pressure. Their defensive line's pretty good. I don't know. I think Dalton under center, though, they're going to need to run the ball more effectively, or to run the ball effectively and actually try to run the ball with Montgomery and maybe utilize him out of the backfield, some screen action. I really want to see them use him out of the backfield more as a receiver. I've been kind of pounding the table for that. I think Cole Kmet, too, is going to be big in this game. Obviously, the Bears are dealing with some injuries, a lot of injuries defensively, and then you got A-Rob and Goodwin out. So, I honestly, everyone's teasing the Cardinals down. Everything I keep reading and seeing and everything you listen to throughout the week, everybody's teasing the Cardinals down and they're pairing it with their next favorite bet or game. I'm not doing that, probably because I'm a Bears fan, but I'm just not doing that. I think I would rather take the points with the Bears, but I'm not going to do that either. It scares me. If Murray plays, I don't know. I'm scared. So I'm attacking this game with props, Joe. One prop for sure: Jimmy Graham over 11.5 receiving yards. They're finally starting to use him. Like over the last 3 games, they've been starting to use him. He's got 3 targets in each of the last 3 games, and at least 25 receiving yards in each. So I love this one. I already smashed it because it's only going to go up. Like I don't think anybody's betting the under in this one. So yeah, that's where I'm at with this game.
And this might be the last week. I mean, if especially if it continues, this might be the last week to get him at 11.5 receiving yards. So
yeah,
for a little bit of a correction.
Right, exactly. Well, last week, dude, and B-Down was fucking laughing about it because I sent it to him. I think it was the Thanksgiving game, obviously. But B-Down was laughing about it because I go, dude, they have Jimmy G's receiving yards at 5.5. And he just started, and I'm like, yeah, this is nuts. You better just take it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's one catch. Like that's one catch.
One catch, dude. One catch, and they're actually starting to use him, and he scored a touchdown, too.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Scott says, take the under on all the prop bets for Bears offensive players. #Nagy effect. Dude, I'm with you, but some of these prop bets are just, like, too juicy with the injury situations. You just have to take advantage of them. Yeah, fuck Nagy, though. Chargers at Cincy. We'll go ahead and obviously we want the Bears to win that game. I want the Bears to win. I don't care. Still rooting for the Bears. Chargers at Cincy at the Bengals. Laying 3.5 or laying 3. The Bengals are over under is 49.5. Chargers coming off a tough loss against the Broncos at Mile High, 28-13. Herbert threw 2 picks. Chargers are 6-5, but have lost 2 of their last 3. Cincy playing well right now. They dominated the Steelers 41-10. And then the week before, they beat the Raiders 32-13. So, I mean, Mixon's pounding the rock, over 120 rushing yards each of the last 2 games with at least 2 touchdowns in each of the last 2. I don't know. I'm not stepping in front of these Bengals right now. Like they got the Chargers have a cornerback out. They've got Asante Samuel who's out for this game, and the Bengals just have like an assortment of different weapons in the receiving game that Joe Burrow can throw to. So with, Higgins, with Jamar Chase, with Boyd. So I'm going to go ahead and lay it with the Bengals, Joe. How do you see this one playing out?
So the Bengals are coming off probably their best win in the last 20 years. Just absolutely demolished the Steelers last week. And I think this is a major letdown spot because now you're starting to think, are the Bengals for real? I mean, this is not the first time this season that we've had to think, are the Bengals for real? And then they got blown out by Cleveland. And I'm not seeing a complete blowout here, but the Chargers are a good team. But as confusing as they are, they're still a good team.
Yeah,
and I think everything you see from Brandon Staley is that guy's got a lot of pride, and I think that trickles down to the team. And Justin Herbert, still a great player. Bad game last week against a good defense. I think the Chargers are going to put up a ton of points. And not saying that the Bengals won't, but I just don't think they're going to be able to keep up. So I would take the Chargers with the 3 points and on the money line, and I'd probably take the over as well.
Damn. All right, that's a lot of shit. Yeah, I mean, I could see it. Look, that's probably the smart way to play it. You're getting a field goal. But you're taking the money line. You're taking all that shit. You're going all in on this game. I could see it. You're probably right. Like letdown spots, they happen. We know they happen. I don't know. I could be wrong about this. I'm already rethinking it. Now. You said that because I do like this Chargers team and they are well coached. So.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, let's go ahead and move on. We do have a comment here. We'll go ahead and pull that up. Do you think Miami can still make the playoffs? The Dolphins?
Yeah,
yeah, it's gotta be the Dolphins. I don't know. Tua's playing better. Like that team, Let me pull up where they're at in the standings, though, because I'm not even sure exactly where they are in the standings.
They're just outside of a wild card spot, if I'm not mistaken. They're on a nice little streak here. They're obviously definitely can make the playoffs. Do I see it happening? I would say no, just because they've already played the Bills twice, lost twice. They beat the Patriots week 1. They're not beating the Patriots again. As good as they're playing, they're not beating the Patriots. So, is it possible? Of course it is.
They're the team. They're a team like the Bears, but like better off than the Bears as far as like in the hunt.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the hunt right now. I don't know, man. This Dolphins defense. I think they started off the season kind of rough, and I think they're actually kind of getting into the groove a little bit. The defense, and so that's why I think that they could get rolling. I'm gonna be honest. They could, and you're right, Miguel. Like they can beat the Pats in Miami. They can. But that's the thing, though. I don't really trust this team. I don't think that this team is like as good as maybe they're playing right now. But I did take their over like a couple weeks ago. There was like I think it was 6.5, maybe 5.5. I think the Bears were 5.5, and the Dolphins were 6.5. And I took the team total over mid-season because I'm like, this team's definitely going to get over that. Like it's the way they're playing. Like. Or just the talent on the team. And Jalen Waddle, dude, Tua doesn't have to throw it deep at all. He can just give a little dump off to Jalen Waddle. That dude just houses it.
Yep.
So, super talented. They need to start using him even a little bit in the deeper game. Have Tua throw it a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I mean they got something good going on right now, but I know Miguel says they can beat the Patriots in Miami. Of course they can. But
Anything can happen,
Right. I don't think it's happening.
I don't think it's happening either. I could see it. We know how the NFL is. It's any given Sunday. So you play a perfect game, you beat any team. So we know how that goes. But yards after the catch is key. I agree, Miguel. So, anyways, let's go ahead and move on here. We got the Washington football team at the Raiders. Raiders are laying 1.5. Over under is at 49.5. So, man, Washington football team. They're coming off a big win. They've won 3 straight now, including a win over Tampa at home, which that was a big win.
Yep.
Raiders are coming off of a Thanksgiving overtime victory over the Cowboys, and the Cowboys. I mean, it's just a weird game, man. Filled with penalties, just littered with penalties all over the place. Thanksgiving was just odd. I don't know. What do you like here? What do you think?
So I think this boils down to both teams are coming off a big win. Big 2 wins. I mean, beating Seattle, it's not as big of a win as it used to be, but it's still substantial. Who do you believe in more? Do you believe that Raiders win over the Cowboys more, or the Washington over the Bucs win more? I think the obvious one for me is the Raiders over the Cowboys. Derek Carr is just a ton more steady. They definitely had their ups and downs, but we've seen Washington fail time and time again to really finish games. And I think only at a point, you're basically just taking the Raiders to win outright. I think that's the right side. Yeah, I think the Raiders are the better team. They're playing at home. They've had a ton of off the field stuff, and that stuff is finally starting to quiet down just a touch, at least for as far as national media wise. I think they're just ready to move on, and I just don't think Washington's really that great.
Yeah, I mean, I think like once the Gruden stuff came out, like obviously that was a big. You could see them losing that game against the Bears that first week up from a mile away, And I think anybody should have been, and everybody should have been betting on the Bears that 1 week because that happened right before the game, basically. Not right before the game, but it was just a rough week. I honestly do think, though, like I agree with you, Joe. We are in lockstep here. Las Vegas, short week for Washington, traveling across the country. And, the Raiders are extra rested. Washington's traveling west all the way across the country on a short week, playing against Seattle, obviously, on Monday night. The Raiders are extra rested to playing on Thanksgiving, coming off the Thanksgiving game. This is going to be, I think, and like you said, they had the bigger win. Washington's hot right now, but 3 wins in a row, probably getting a little bit overconfident here. And the Raiders are kind of, like you said, everything's starting to settle down a little bit. They're finding their rhythm a little bit. They put up some points against the Cowboys, so give me the Raiders laying the points as well.
And just for Miguel, we could touch on this real quick. Who's your best edge rookie? I think that answer is fairly obvious. It's got to be Micah Parsons. And that guy's unstoppable.
Dude, Parsons is an animal.
But, I mean, that guy is an absolute monster. I mean, he's already kind of putting Chase Young's rookie year to shame, 13 games in or 13 weeks in.
Yeah.
I think there really is no other answer. That not that another one is coming to mind, but I think it's head and shoulders Micah Parsons. That guy's an animal.
Yeah, I won't get an argument from me about Micah Parsons for sure. Dude's insane. But yeah, so let's go ahead and move on here because if you get us here on the edge, I'm not sure. You'll have to see what he's saying there. But we have to touch on this game here with the Patriots at Bills. 2.5, the Bills are laying over under at 42. So I don't know. I think this line is pretty dead on. Like, I didn't really see an edge here.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of edges,
Right.
we were just talking about edge. Both teams have a top of the line defensive unit. Like, both these teams are really good defensively, and Mac is playing well. As a rookie, obviously he's probably playing the best out of any of the rookie quarterbacks. That's not saying much because it's been a struggle bus for most of the rookies quarterbacks. But the Bills have been shaky offensively at times. I did not see this coming with the Patriots. I thought maybe they'd be competitive next year. I didn't see this coming at all with the Patriots. I know the defense is pretty good, but Mac Jones obviously is in the best situation. They're going to New England, but I didn't see them leading the division like they are now. So I don't know. The Bills still have Josh Allen. I know the Pats have a very good defense and secondary behind like J.C. Jackson and those guys. But 60.5 receiving yards for Stephon Diggs, that just feels low to me. That just feels low. So he's went over that number in 8 of 11 games played. Smash it. Smash the over. I don't care. I know it's the Patriots. Bill Belichick likes to take away the best weapon on the opposing offense. It's Stephon Diggs. It's Josh Allen. He will get like 65 yards, even if he doesn't have a monster game. So I'm taking Stephon Diggs over. What bet are you looking at here, Joe, if any?
So I think, from what I heard, I heard the weather's not going to be great for this game. And it's been well documented that the Bills have absolutely no run game. Their best run game is with Josh Allen, and obviously he's their best player. And we've seen it with Bill Belichick and the Patriots time and time again. He eliminates what you do well. And what the Bills do well is Josh Allen. Obviously you can't eliminate him completely, but with it, there is just absolutely no threat out of the backfield from them, from the Bills. And especially if it really is a bad weather game, I just don't see how the Bills are going to out scheme Bill Belichick in a very, very important game for both teams. I mean, this is the first of 2 matchups for them of the season. They're neck and neck for the lead in the AFC East. So I'm going to take the 2.5 points. I think they'll be crafty enough on offense to do what they have to do compared to what they're going to be better on offense than the Bills will be against the Patriots defense. I just think, it's cliche, but Bill Belichick just continually finds a way. And we've seen it all year. They're just a great team, man. They're just the steadiest of steady teams. And the Bills have not won a close game this year. Every game they've won has been by more than 15 points. So, and I don't see – I just don't see it being it. It's going to be a close game, and I think the Patriots are going to pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. That's the thing. So, full disclosure, I actually early in the week, I took the Patriots. I found them at +3, and I took the Patriots. So, I grabbed them at +3. I didn't want anything to do with +2.5, so I didn't want to bring it up on the show. But I could see them winning this game outright. I could see them covering the spread. That was just kind of like being safe, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to tell people 2.5 when I wouldn't personally bet it. So just because I feel like it will be a close game. So, and I see all the points that you mentioned though, and I like the points that you're talking about. I do want to bring this up though. Miguel said, "What about Jalen Phillips?" Jalen Phillips has been great. You know, he's out of Miami, the UCLA transfer. He's been excellent. I mean, how can you can't really, he's been great, man. Probably he's been up there as far as edges, he's up there. Miguel is obviously a Miami Dolphins fan for sure. And that's great. I didn't know we'd have any Miami Dolphins fans tuning into this. So
the more the merrier.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's cool. So yeah, with that said, I'm on the Diggs. Talk about the weather a little bit. I still think his yard after the catch, Diggs should be able to get at least over 60.5, I think.
And yeah, I mean, I think something big in this game is Tre'Davious White out for the season. That's a big blow, man. They're still a good defense without him, but that's a big blow, and this is their first game without him. It's going to take some time for them to figure it out, and I just think the Patriots are going to be able to do enough to win the game.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Absolutely.
But this is great that it's a Monday night primetime game. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Is it Monday night or Sunday night?
Monday night.
I thought I saw Sunday.
No, it's Monday. Sunday night is Broncos Chiefs.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I was looking at that wrong. Anyways, let's crack 'em locks of the week, Joe. Because these are only NFL games. Like I said, we spent a lot of time talking about college. We had the championship game, the conference championship games we wanted to go over. I felt that was a little bit more important this week. Next week, hopefully, we will do a little bit more NFL, at least 6 games. Crack 'em locks of the week. Where are you going with college?
For college, I'm going to stick with Michigan, -11, I think is what it's at, right? It's going to be a 2-touchdown win at least. You okay there?
I had to get my camera off because I don't want you to see me freaking out back here in the background.
I think it's just going to be an easy 2-touchdown or more win for him, and that's where I'm putting my crack 'em lock and my money.
I could see it, man, and it probably made you feel even better to have an Iowa fan basically say that they agree with you. So,
yeah, but it goes back and forth like that, man. You're trying so hard to not be biased that you're almost going too much to the other side. It's a tough situation.
Exactly, and I've brought this up. I've talked about this in the past with our buddy Zach, my buddy Zach. You don't want to be overly biased. That's one thing that I, as a handicapper, as a bettor, as a guy that gives out advice, whatever. If somebody's listening to my advice, I don't want them to think I'm just gonna ride with my team no matter what. It's just not like that. Yes, I do ride with my team no matter what, but I'm not gonna give you the advice to do that. My buddy Billy's in the comment section. Wait, did you already pull it up?
Oh yeah, let me tell you, this is the second time we've done this.
I guess we both have. Yeah, I didn't see that. Yeah, get out of here with Iowa. He said. You know what, Billy? You can get the hell out of here, and I know you, so I can say that. But anyways, no, Yeah, I'm with you, man. I lean that way with Michigan winning this game by at least 2 touchdowns. I just want Iowa to win. So I will not be betting this game, like I said. But I'm with you. I agree with your lock pick. My lock pick in college football. You know what, man? I didn't even write anything down, but I'm going to go ahead and go with that Wake Forest. I was caught between the two. That's why I didn't write anything down. Can I give like a half for each? I'll give like a half.
Give them a full. Give them both a full. Why not?
Whatever. Wake Forest and Pittsburgh's going over, and Bama and Georgia's going under. Like 2 smash mouth offenses with Wake Forest and Pittsburgh, 2 shitty ass defenses. Excuse my French. It's definitely going over for that game, and the Bama and Georgia game's going under because the defenses are good, the offenses are pretty overrated. I'd say Bama actually has the edge offensively all around, but like the running back who's running the ball, I don't know. Like it's not going to be your top running back maybe. So, and that offensive line has been struggling, and Georgia's defense is terrific. Bama's defense has been great with Will Anderson. So I think that game's going under, and give me Kenny Pickett and Sam Hartman in a shootout going over. So double the locks, baby.
Yep.
One more here from Scott Crawford. That's the reason I comment and not advise. Hashtag Hawks by a million. Caw-caw! I agree, Scott. I know you didn't say caw, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. So with that said, Joe, any final thoughts? We've been going for a long time here, but it's Friday. So
yeah. Savor it, man. I mean, we're championship weekend for college, and we're week 13 of the NFL, man. It happens so fast. Feels like just a couple weeks ago we were like, football's here, and now football's almost not here, and that stinks. So just enjoy it, man. You just gotta enjoy it.
Just gotta enjoy it. I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. Early on tomorrow, I think I'm going to a Christmas tree farm to go with my family to go look at Christmas trees, go get a Christmas tree. But nonetheless, I will be checking out all the afternoon games and the night game, of course, the night game with Iowa, and that Georgia-Bama game. I will be home by the start time of that game. Mm-hmm. So just hope my bets hit before that. And the Bears win on Sunday. With that said, we did not talk about NFL locks. That was a miss by me.
Yeah,
NFL locks. I just wanted to wrap up the show. I just wanted to get this over with for some reason.
I can get. I mean, mine is it's a game we already talked about. I'm going to go with the Raiders -1. They're just a better team, and I think that line is just a little. I think the the football team just a little overvalued in this spot. So I'm going to go with the Raiders -1 at home.
Yeah, I'm on board with you there. That's not my lock, but I'm on board with you there. That was my bet 2 for that game. I'm going Jimmy Graham over 11.5 receiving yards. He's getting too involved. There's too many guys down. If you can find that number right now, bet that number with Goodwin and A-Rob basically out for this game. There's no reason not to think that he's going to get at least one. He's going to get at least 2 catches in this game, I think. So, and probably some red zone targets, some stupid fade that Nagy draws up.
Yep.
But whatever, he's definitely going to get the ball. With that said, I think this is a great spot to go ahead and leave off. We have Strowman. Iowa will win with the big. And Nagy will not be the head coach next year. We're winning. That's what Scott said. Listen, I'm all for it. So with that said, we are on Tap Bets, and you can follow us on Twitter at On Tap Bets. I believe it's On Tap Bets or Bets on Tap.
On Tap Bets.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. And On Tap Sportsnet on Twitter, and then ontapsportsnet.com for all your Chicago sports needs, and then you can get some gambling needs there. And Joe Maris was joining me tonight. As always, man, it's always fun to have you on the podcast. Follow Joe at Joe on Tap. Follow me at the Riot 326. I am your host, Joey Ricotta. And yeah, good luck with all your bets.
Yep. Good luck, everybody.